Welcome back everyone. Today we're doing a Halloween themed photo shoot. I've been thinking about this for a while, ever since I saw Hayden Pederssen's video from like 3 years ago where he put a flare inside of a pumpkin, and I've been wanting to try it ever since. Okay, so the rough plan for today's shoot, we're going to get a pumpkin, we're going to carve it and put a flare inside of it, just like Hayden did. And then instead of a forest, I want to try doing this in like a more urban environment. And then later on at night, once it gets dark, I want to put a small LED inside of the pumpkin, play around with the colors a bit, and then place the pumpkin in different locations in London and see what kind of shots we can get. Yeah, that's the rough plan for today. Don't really have much more detail than that. Let's get into it. Grab in. I wish you could feel what I'm feeling. It's so like wet and it feels wrong. It feels awful. Pumpkin has been emptied out. That was actually a lot more involved of a process than I anticipated. It's really wet on the inside, so I don't know how to get rid of all the moisture. We're thinking about maybe putting it in the oven, but I don't think that's a good idea because it might fuck up the color of the pumpkin. So we'll see. We'll leave it overnight and hope it dries. But for now, let's carve out the rest of the face. Boom! And we're almost finished. Look at that. That's beautiful. I did delegate the design and drawing part to Georgia because there was no way that I was able to actually draw something that looks halfway decent. I am shit at art. I'm so awful. But look at this. Now we just need to think of a way to maybe clean up the inside properly and like dry it out, because tomorrow we're going to put a flare inside. That's fine, that can get dirty. But I'm a bit worried about Imtiaz's light, because Imtiaz has this little pocket light from Ulanzi which we want to put in. And by using the LED, we want to make the pumpkin glow. Obviously you don't really want to get the light dirty and sticky with all the pumpkin juice. So one idea that Giorgio actually had is maybe we can wrap it in cling film. Should work, so I'll make sure to bring some tomorrow. The design credit go to her. Okay, let's put a candle inside and see what it looks like.
Let's do it.
We're in back. Here's the finished product again. We're now getting ready. Lydia's gonna hold it.
Hi.
So we got two shots that we want to do today. The first one, we're going to put the flare inside the pumpkin and then get Lydia to kind of walk towards the camera with it as the smoke is coming out the pumpkin. And the second shot, we'll wait for it to get a bit darker, and then we'll get one of Imtiaz's lights and put it inside and get it to glow a bit. Yeah? I'm gonna put the GoPro on and film behind the scenes because I want to get some pictures as well. And yeah, hope you enjoy. We just finished dinner at Old Town, as always. We are now going to use Imtiaz's light. Oh, it's this. We're going to use this. We're going to wrap it in cling film, and then we're going to put the light inside of the pumpkin and get some cool shots, hopefully. If you're ever in Chinatown and you want to check out a good restaurant, come to Old Town 97. This is not sponsored, but I do come here like twice a week, and I just think they deserve a shout out.
Happy Halloween, guys!
Okay, and we're back. The pumpkin is looking quite battered. I'll show you now. This guy has been through a lot. You can see how black the inside is from all the flare smoke. He's done well, but let's put him back on the balcony so he can get some well-deserved rest, and then I'll talk about the shots. Starting off the shoot, we had a couple of test runs with the orange flare. The reason why we used the orange flare for the test shots was because I had 3 of them and I only had 1 purple. And initially I thought the purple flare would look better because purple is the opposite colour to orange, I initially thought that orange smoke with the orange pumpkin would look a bit shit, but actually after having edited the photos, I prefer the shots that we did with the orange flare. In terms of gear and settings, I used my Sigma 56 and I used a shutter speed of around 250 just to make sure that by using a high shutter speed, I'm freezing all of the smoke particles in the shot. Whenever you take photos where there's a lot of moving stuff like, I don't know, sparklers, flares, skateboarders and so on, you want to make sure that you're using a high enough shutter speed, for example 1/250 or 1/400, to make sure that you're freezing the motion of your subject. Later on we went to the Piccadilly Circus area and we just put the LED inside of the pumpkin as planned and got a couple of shots there. So here I've got a handheld long exposure shot in front of the famous Piccadilly sort of billboard. I wish I had an ultra wide lens for this. I took this photo with my Sigma 16, which converted to full frame is a 24mm equivalent. It's fine, but as you can see, the top of the billboard is slightly cut out. I just wish I had an ultra wide, such as a 12mm, which I'm filming this video on right now, it just arrived, just to have everything in frame. But, oh well, maybe for the next shoot. Then, after this shot, we randomly ran into our friends Alicia and Naziba, who were doing some fashion modeling photography. So we just asked Alicia to borrow her model for a bit, gave her the pumpkin and got some shots of her as well. Then, to wrap up the shoot, we gave the pumpkin to Sun. He basically threw up the pumpkin and using a high shutter speed and some lights to illuminate him, we managed to capture the pumpkin mid-air and got these shots. Overall, I'm very happy with the shoot. Shout out to Hayden Pederssen again for inspiring me to make this video. And I will now move on to the question of the day. Kieran has asked me, how do you deal with self-doubt and get yourself out of a rut? Basically, how do you tell your brain to do something and do what you want to do? Okay, this is a really good question from Kieran, and I definitely suffer from not being motivated or maybe feeling down because I'm comparing myself to others too much. And I'll address this question in two parts. So one is sort of like getting yourself out of a rut and motivating yourself to do something that you tell yourself to do. So for that one, I find that having a schedule or some sort of set of rules for yourself can help a lot. So when I started out Instagram back in April, for example, I told myself for the next 30 days, I'm going to post one picture a day. That basically just made sure that I would continuously go out and shoot because I was always running out of pictures to post. Just simple rules like that, like having an upload schedule, can definitely help motivate you to go out and shoot more. Okay, for the second part of the question, which is more around self-doubt and maybe comparing yourself with more successful photographers, I think it definitely helps to sort of look behind the lens a bit more. So it's easy to assume that when you see somebody's life on Instagram or YouTube, that they're perfect and their shots are perfect because they're so much better than you are. But sometimes people forget, and I definitely forget this too, is that social media is just a highlight reel of someone's life. They're not going to post all the shit pictures they've taken, they're not going to post any videos that they don't find entertaining or where they're not doing something exciting. So because you're only seeing these select highlights of their life, you automatically assume that, oh my god, their life is so much better than me, their shots are so much better than me, I'll never get to that level. But actually, when you go to these meetups, for example, the one that Optical regularly does in London, you get to meet these people and kind of get a behind the scenes look into their lives a bit more. And then you realize actually that's just a regular person, just like me. And maybe they've been doing this a bit longer than me. That's why they're a bit more experienced. But at the end of the day, everyone gets bad shots. And to be honest, most of my shots are bad ones. I only show you guys the top 10 of each shoot, or maybe 5. 99% of my pictures are not usable. So yeah, stop worrying about self-doubt, stop comparing yourself to others, don't overthink it, just go out and take your pictures. Right, that wraps up the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it as always, and I'll see you in the next one.
And a YouTube video.
Bye guys.
It's like 5 guys. 5.